I'm very happy to welcome you today on our live webcast for charging infrastructure. My name is İlker Boyacıoğlu and I'm responsible for the charging infrastructure and energy storage business at Rittal. I also would like to introduce my colleague Dirk.
Well, my name is Dirk Rudolf Hecker and I'm from the Technical Support Center of Rittal, working as a training officer in the technical trainings.
Thank you, Dirk. Thanks. It is obvious that the automotive industry is tremendously developing and innovating new technologies, and the electrical part is definitely a big part already today, and we have a great, very tremendous growth rate for the next years. We have the battery cell production as well, which is very important to the whole value chain, and we are also focused as a company for this segment. We have the IT infrastructure, data center business, which is also very attractive for the general value chain and taking a big part, very important part into our segments and delivering already solutions and services for autonomous driving. But how we are reacting to the market and what we are doing. We are a global company with 10,000 employees, manufacturing sites all over the world, delivering solutions, products, services, and a lot of contribution to all of the segments. But we are not only a manufacturer of components and enclosures, but we are also delivering services, integrating new tools, softwares, and additional components to have a great solution. We are following the requirements of the market, which is very important to us. And over the last decades, we saw a lot of integrations into Rittal. We have the automotive production, which is very important today and shows us great opportunities even than before. Over the last years, we delivered a lot of components and solutions in the automotive segment, and we have our brand awareness in all of these sub-applications there. Today, I would like to highlight the cooling units, which are also very important in terms of reliability, decreasing CO2 emissions, and even reaching all the zero emission strategy. In our new portfolio, we have a great cooling unit integrated, which are saving 75% of emissions compared to the previous generations. This is very important to us. We have on one side the requirements on the market, from the market, and on the other side we're driving the trends. When it comes to the battery technology, we have the gigafactories. We have a lot of components here included, but what does all this mean for a supplier? How can we achieve resource-saving, climate-neutral production? Today, we at Rittal, we build more efficient technologies in order to achieve all the requirements and also internal goals within the company. We are a part of the business and delivering day by day technologies, again, around the production, around the battery cell production, for instance. And energy storage is one of the sub-applications which are influencing all the surrounding products and solutions. Last but not least, the data center infrastructure, again, is very important to us. Here we are talking about current solutions, services within the industry, but we are seeing also the tremendous growth in terms of autonomous driving. And the data center is playing here a very important role in order to be reliable, storing the data, delivering the information, and this is very close connected to safety issues in terms of autonomous driving. Here we have a great application. We have a value chain coming from the power generation, power distribution units, energy storage, and at the end of the day, to the charging point, to the end customer. We at Rittal, cooperating with global companies, we have partners globally which are creating for us win-to-win, for both sides win-to-win situations, and we have common goals in delivering products and technologies into the segment. Here we have a global market development forecast outlook for the e-mobility market. We have numbers from different agencies. We collected very accurate data, and we are expecting the e-mobility cars around 125 million in 2030. But I personally believe we will have more cars in the next 10 years. And this is a great opportunity for us as well. So we are delivering, again, partnering and cooperating with different companies within the value chain to deliver the most valuable solutions for the e-mobility market. We have a global graph here, and we can see different initiatives in different countries. We have definitely one of the most innovative country on the globe as Norway, and they are tremendously developing charging points, implementing charging points on different sites. Here we have the highways, for instance, and also the private public sectors, which is very, very important. And we have also regulations in the countries. For instance, in UK, UK would like to register only electric cars starting from 2030, and they have also a great outlook. What we can see here as 13 million e-cars in 2040. On the right side, we have also APEC as a very innovative, driven region, and here we have China as a most technological leader, I would say, and we are expecting a lot of new technologies, but also regulations driven by car manufacturers, initiatives, and also from the countries. So we are expecting 77 million charging points over the next 10 years. And we are talking about e-cars, but we need to also consider the e-buses. So we have on one side the AC charging points, and on the other side the DC charging points. So the outlook is very great, and we are here to partnering with local and global manufacturers, which can bring value to our solution. Yeah, here we have the big picture about the whole value chain, I would say, from the power generation up to the charging points. And we are aiming and focusing in all of the segments. Today, we have solutions which are developed by us, but also partnered with other companies in order to deliver the turnkey solution to the market. In this stage, I would like to hand over to Dirk, who will go more into the details, a little bit about case studies in configuration about the products and solutions.
Yeah, thank you, Ilke. I think this were very good insight views to the scope of this topic. And to enable the transfer to practice now, I will reduce altitude a little bit, so come down to a specific example using a case study. Let's imagine we do have a multi-story car park that supports or provides sufficient car space for an event arena as well as for a shopping center. And now this car park should be equipped with a suitable charging infrastructure. In our example, we assume that we have 3 floors, so 3 levels. Each level has about 100 spaces. And now 10% of these spacings should be equipped with charging poles. Our decision has fallen on a Type 2 charging pole with a 22 kilowatt version. So the task is to set up a charging infrastructure with that 22 kilowatt charging pole. Yeah. Here I have a single line diagram which simplifies the task and gives a more clear picture. We can see that we have for every level these 10 charging poles, each one 22 kilowatt. And so we combine that together so that we have at least a subdistribution SD1, 2, 3 with at least 400 amps. These distribution in turn will be supplied by a common power distribution, a so-called low voltage power distribution, LVDP. And this low voltage power distribution is designed for at least 1,200 amps to supply these 3 substations. In turn, the energy will come from a common transformer. Even here we have the technical data, and especially the short circuit values are helpful to indicate the needed requirements for the main station as well for the substations. For the substations, I recommend to use Rittal ISV, and for the low voltage power distribution, so the main power distribution, Rittal Refor Power 185 would be a good solution. Now, I'm aware that not everyone is familiar with these typical Rittal wordings and Rittal terms, so I would like to give a small information on the concept of the Refor Power system. The Refor Power system is based on the VX25 as the enclosure as basis for that system. Now, in combination with different accessories for interior installation, so for example, dividers for the internal separation, or for example, modular front with partial doors and front trim panels, we are able to provide a modular system so that anybody can create individual designs of internal form separation, which are according to the IEC 61439 Part 2. But it's not only the enclosure and the internal separation where we talk about when we talk about Refor Power. It's also a bus bar system which is included in the concept. And here at that point, I would like to highlight the vertical bus bars, which we can see as these vertical bus bars, so-called connection kits, are the link to typical market-able switchgear in different sizes, different brands. So a very flexible approach. And this is combined, and this is pre-engineered, and this is pre-tested. So we do have a big database with a lot of information based on predefined prototype samples of different variants of sections. And when I speak about variants and sections, I mean that what you see here, let this fly along us. So this is in-feed section, modular outgoing section, or an aged fuse isolator section for outgoing. So there are many, many different versions which we have developed, defined, tested, and documented. So here finally a corner section which helps to manage the bus bar around the corner. And these different standardized sections now can be used by any panel builder to create an individual system. The term Refor Power at least can be distinguished into three different basic variants, which is variant number 1, the Refor Power or VX25 Refor Power from 1 to 4. Here on the picture we see an example with an ACP in-feed section, an outgoing section for an aged isolated on-load isolators, and a modular outgoing section. A second version is the so-called Refor Power 185 millimeter system. That what we will have a look a little bit more deeper later in the case study. And here again, we combine the enclosure with the bus bars and market-able switchgear. And on top here, we have the opportunity or the option that we can put components directly on the bus bars. So this enables an extreme compact system design. The third variant is the so-called Refor Power ISV system. This is close to a system which is more common in the building sector, and it's based on the so-called norm fields. When I talk about norm fields, I mean a grid system with a 250 millimeter width and 150 millimeter in the height. And so with that grid, you can create standardized distribution systems. And with Rittal Refor Power ISV, we give the opportunity and the position that you can integrate such a grid system, so a norm field grid system, into Rittal enclosures such as VX25 or the AX compact enclosure. But now with this information back to our example, here we have the technical data which we already have collected with the single line diagram. And with that data and that requirement for our main power distribution, we now step into the Rittal website web page where we have the so-called Rittal configuration system, in short terms, RICS. And RICS is a platform that enables to select and to configure different products out of the Rittal range. And one of these configurators is the so-called power engineering, here a little bit highlighted. So with this power engineering software, we have a engineering software that helps to create power distribution panels, as we need here in our example. So on the next slide, I have prepared a video. And here you can see the workflow. First of all, we have 3 steps, major steps to configure a system in on the software. The second step is, for example, to select the enclosures, and then in the last you have a summary. But I like to go a little bit more in a concrete example. Here we select the system, 185 millimeter system. We select the current. You have here an advanced modus where you can give more or have more parameters. And with that, we can go into the second step. Here we have the details of the ACP infeed section and also of the outgoing section, which you can see down here. If we go into the ACP section now, we can select a certain breaker, the conditions of the breaker. You can have a preview during the configuration, so you see what you're doing. And the same with the outgoing section. Here, for example, we see the 3 enaged fused isolators, which are to feed the ISV systems. And at the end, we can also check the rated current, compare the rated current of the busbar with the rated current of the outgoing tabs. With that, we can go in the final step. Here we can select different documents for download. And with that, I like to step back into the presentation because in the presentation on the next slide, we see the output here in the output menu or the download menu, and I have selected some different documents, for example, the part list. The part list is good to make the price calculation, but as well later for the order process. Secondly, I have selected drawings in front view and top view mode, and this I can use to make a visualization of the system which I have created. Further, I have selected the assembly guide in here. We just receive those parts of the assembly guide which are important for the specific system. And finally, we do have here design verification. And this is one of the keys you need to understand when we talk about the power engineering software. As I have mentioned more early, we have a tested system based on representative samples. And these test information, this is embedded into a database which is in the software. And now, when you create an individual system, the software does taking the individual system and compare this, like this, with the data of the database. And so we get the relevant information for the design verification. In summary, with Rittal Re4Power, we offer a flexible modular system which enables to create individual power distribution systems, for example, a charging infrastructure, which we use here in our example. And with that, I would like to go back to Ilka and like to give you again the presentation.
Thank you so much, Dirk, for the great insights. So, as I mentioned before, we have a range of products, solutions developed over the last decades. And we're only focusing on the future and the market requirements, which is very essential also for the charging infrastructure business. So here we see a lot of product groups, coming from Rittal. We have software, we have ePlan, we have cloud solutions. Here I would like to mention one of the great projects, what we realized over the last 2 years. We have common goals with our partners. In this case, we have Tritium as a partner, a global manufacturer for charging point services and products. Here we used to deliver a turnkey solution to the market. And we had the chance to work on this global project, and the customers was requiring rapidly availability, product service support even after the project. Here, we were very successful with tritium in order to, first of all, deliver those applications together into the markets and being a reliable partner for the next years as well. As a second case study, we have a common partnership within this project with SBRS here in Germany. They had also very similar requirements, but more related to safety and other circumstances for the bus stations. Here we have also a lot of solutions as Rittal and contributed to the market requirements, and partnering with SBRS successfully implemented the solutions into the site. First of all, I would like to say thank you. Secondly, I'm already seeing popping up a lot of questions on my screen, and we'll take the remaining time to answer those questions.
Yeah, thank you, Ilka. And I have already received here a first question out of the chat. The question is, does Rittal also supply complete switchgear assemblies? Well, the answer is we are working as a producer and a supplier of components which we have developed over the last years to systems. So we are a system provider. But exactly that is the point where we interface to our customers. So we provide a modular tested system. Our customer, the panel builder, provides the final assembly, so the complete panel to the market. There is a clear line between that, and we can be partner on this, but we will not sell complete switchgear assemblies.
Exactly. I would like to add only in terms or related to the charging infrastructure industry. We have common goals with our partners for all of the applications, I would say. And within the charging infrastructure, we achieved also turnkey solutions with our partners, and will contribute over the next years in partnering with reliable, sustainable companies for our success.
Okay, I see another question. Is reefer power also suitable for outdoor application? Reefer power is primarily developed for indoor application, which means all tests which have been carried out are based on that. So now we have the situation that same as VX25, the system basis for reefer power, also the Rittal outdoor enclosures are based on a 25mm grid. So I can imagine might be possible to implement the interior concept of reefer power into an outdoor enclosure, but as I said before, all our tests are based on indoor applications. So if you have such a case, this must be basis for a project. So if you have such an inquiry, get in contact to your local Rittal consultant, and I think the direct contact is the best way to approach.
Thank you. Yeah. No more questions? Or
as far as I can see, there are no more questions. If you have questions, feel free, use the chat. We are happy to answer if we can. Also later on the website, you can find our contact data, so feel free to contact us if you are looking for any answer. But it seems to be that there are no further questions, so from my side, I'd like to thank you.
I would like to thank you for your time. Thanks for joining us today, and all the best and taking care. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.